The Bible gives one answer to temptation: run. Find out why in this episode of 5 Minutes Closer. I'm Vaughn Weatherford, and this is 5 Minutes Closer. For the next 5 minutes, let's explore some biblical truths and apply them to your life. No podcast, including this one, can transform your life or give you what you really need. Only Jesus can do that. You can find out why in what I've called the first five episodes of 5 Minutes Closer. Each following episode explores scriptural truths that, if you follow them, will bring you 5 minutes closer to the person God created you to be. Let's see if we can get you 5 minutes closer. The fastest I can remember running was one day on my grandfather's farm. We were climbing one of the many hills on his land one afternoon when I looked down to see a snake crawling out from the rock under my left foot. I did the 100-yard dash in less than 10 seconds. It was at least 10 seconds before my scream caught up with me. Joseph faced tremendous challenges in his life. His brothers sold him into slavery, and he found himself serving in the household of an Egyptian named Potiphar. Potiphar's wife then decides to tempt this new pool boy, but Joseph knew what to do. When faced with temptation, Joseph ran. It's recorded in Genesis chapter 39, verse 12. She, Potiphar's wife, caught him by his garment and said, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. Stuart Anderson tells the story of Bobby Leach, a man famous years ago for going over Niagara Falls in a barrel without suffering even a scratch. Some years later, he went into the hospital for injuries he suffered when he slipped on an orange peel. Anderson notes that while we can often avoid the big temptations that swirl around us like great waterfalls, the small, seemingly insignificant temptations trip us up simply because we're not watching for them. So watch for them. Diligently search your life. Prayerfully ask the Lord to reveal areas where you're vulnerable to temptation, to reveal temptations that you might not see, and to show you areas where you're living dangerously close to the edge. Be sure that the temptations are there, sometimes broad and brazen, but often very subtle and deceptive. Realizing their presence is the first step, but the second step is just as important. When you see temptation, run. Joseph saw temptation for what it was. When Potiphar comes to him with her temptation, he replies with a question in chapter 39, verse 9. "How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" Joseph's question reveals the seriousness of the situation. How could he sin against Potiphar, a man who had done so much for him, who'd entrusted the entire household into his hands? But Joseph realized his sin was more than just against Potiphar. It was a sin against God. Joseph just wouldn't do it. But Potiphar's wife continues until she corners Joseph in the house one day, grabbing him by his cloak. Joseph did the right thing. He ran. I remember an advertisement for polarized sunglasses. A lady was driving down the street, sun was glaring off the hood of her car, and then she puts on some special polarized sunglasses and the glare disappears just in time for her to see a young child who is running out in front of her car. She stops the car just in time, wipes her brow and exclaims, "I would have never seen him without my sunblockers." I never knew if sunblocker sunglasses would work quite that effectively. Plus, I never had the $19.95 plus shipping and handling to order a pair. But we need the same kind of vision when it comes to our spiritual life. Joseph could have easily gone through life blinded by the glare of the trials and difficulties he faced. It wasn't fair that his brothers sold him into slavery. And this was Potiphar's wife's problem, not his. Besides, who would know if he followed through with her request? But Joseph realized that in remaining faithful to God, he could see through the glare and the dangers of the temptations that faced him. When Joseph faced temptation, he ran. When you face temptation, do the same thing. Run. You can, because now you're 5 minutes closer. My prayer is that these 5 minutes have challenged you, inspired you, and caused you to consider applying God's message for your life from His Word. To find out more, visit our website at 5minutescloser.com. Join me next time to see if we can get you 5 minutes closer.